GAK Personnel Records Revision. Act 495 removes some limitations on confidential records and states that the home phone number, wireless number, home address, and email address of employees be confidential. GAMK, use of pronouns and given names. Act 680 states that employees shall not be required to address a student by a name other than the student's legal name or required to use a pronoun that is inconsistent with the student's sex. GBC recruitment. Act 423 adds student services to the list of persons who are required to have a criminal history review. IDBA, sex education. Act 681 prohibits teachers from providing instruction or discussion on topics of sexual orientation or gender identity in grades K through 12. That also goes for presenters in our schools as well. IDDF, education of students with exceptionalities. Act 689 requires school boards to adopt a policy that each school under its jurisdiction provide written information regarding legal procedures affecting the transfer of individual rights from parent to child when the when the child attains the age of majority. And the last one, JGC, Student Health Services. Act 375 requires each school nurse to participate in an in-service training program that provides 1 hour of instruction on sickle cell disease, and that is a one-time training. Like Mr. Phillips mentioned, the board is to review these policies and we take action at the December 3rd, 2024 board meeting.
Okay. So again, there's more information in your packet on all those items, but if you would review those so we can vote on those next month. Okay. Item 7.2, to approve purchase of property from the city of Ruston. Mr. Durrett.
Okay, so this is 14.45 acres. The city's made available for us to purchase. It's the old Ruston girls softball complex. We purchased this. This is where we would build the new Ruston High School softball complex. After looking at Bittersweet property and this, the Bittersweet property would require some extensive dirt work and drainage work over there. So in talking with the city, this would put it next to where we have baseball, where students play tennis, and next to the sports complex down there, which would kind of go in line with what the city has going down there. So we are requesting permission to purchase this property for $150,000 from the city of Ruston.
Okay, so we do have an agreement with the city of Ruston to purchase that land from them to build the softball complex there. Do I have a motion that we approve the purchase from the city, subject to the city giving us the approval after their meeting in December? So moved by Donna Doss. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Debbie Abram. Any opinions from any comments, I should say? I'm sure everybody has an opinion. Any comments from the public? Any questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, hearing none. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no. All right, that matter passes. Okay, so we'll get to the reports under Section 8. Dr. Lewis, if you would.
Mr. President, I'd like to report 1 administrative retirement, 1 administrative point of reference, 1 faculty resignation, 2 faculty recommendations, 1 transportation retirement, 1 transportation recommendation, and 1 maintenance recommendation.
Thank you for that. Okay, we're going to get into.
I have a question before you go to vote.
Yes, sir.
Why do we listen to this report when we don't hire nobody, fire nobody? I think it should be eliminated from the agenda. We don't need to listen to that.
I mean, we can do that. We just do it as a,
Amen. Throw it out. We don't hire, we don't fire.
okay.
So why do
We just give it to you as a point of reference, so you'll know.
And you're going to be a point of reference.
I mean, we can put it in your packet, but we don't have to go over it at a board meeting if you don't. Okay.
Thank you for that.
It doesn't. Well, I mean, we don't really have to vote on. Right, we can not put a report in, but I mean, I think if
We don't know none of these people in.
if enough of you would like for us to keep doing it, we'll keep doing it. But it's not. It's just a report.
Okay, but we will
We could give y'all the report in the minutes every, I mean, right, we'll give you the written report for sure.
Now, now my question to tackle on to what he's saying is, when the employees are resigning, are we doing exit interviews?
We do not. I don't think, is there a place for them to do that in frontline? No, we're not.
So so we don't know why they're leaving, like with the resignations, why they're turning it in, like we're not.
They fill out a resignation notice in Frontline and they put their reasons in there while
But
they're
it's
resigning.
not a detailed type of
It's a
form?
place for comments if they have comments, yes ma'am.
Mr. President, with respect to Mr. Ferguson's observation, Dr. Lewis put, in my opinion, Dr. Lewis puts an inordinate amount of time, and I can understand where David's coming from, but Dr. Lewis puts a tremendous amount of work and effort, in my opinion, into providing this report for us. And certainly I understand the value of what you're saying, but at the same time, on balance, my opinion, the effort that goes into this, people can agree, disagree, it's okay. But the effort that she puts into it for us, I don't think that can be diminished at all. And from a procedural standpoint, yeah, we'll still get the information, but I think the recognition of her efforts can't be minimized. Now, for me, and this is something I mentioned before, and David, you and I have talked about this still dovetails because she highlights by gender, which is important because we are to make sure, like with these stipends we've just given, the diversity of our student body, the diversity of our employees is reflected in this room. You just look around, it's reflected here. So my question then, the superintendent made a commitment to a diversity committee. So the question then, in terms of dovetailing, where are we with respect to that diversity committee? Because I know we've talked about it. And then where are we going with it? Which I think speaks to what David may or may not, I can't speak for him, I'm just speaking for myself. So if we have a diversity committee, Dr. Lewis puts the work in, we have job fairs, then where are we with respect to that committee that you and I have spoken about, and then the usefulness of that committee? Now, if it's not going to be utilized, then of course, what's the point? It's just it makes no difference. But I don't think you would have recommended that you would do that if in fact the intent was not to, in fact, speak to a diversification in our hiring process, which is certainly reflected. Just look at the back table. So where are we? My question, where are we with respect to the utilization of the diversity committee? And are we going to move forward with that purpose of that committee? That would be the question I would pose to you.
When they have a job fair, I haven't seen one.
That's a good point.
Or a diversity report, committee report.
We don't even get that either, so where are we? That's
That's
why I say,
Good
this is
question.
not beneficial.
I understand.
I
So,
don't hire, you won't hire, you won't fire.
I know I can't.
We don't question anybody about it.
You can comment.
Okay, so we'll get a report from the diversity committee. We
Yeah.
had some last year
okay.
at a couple of board meetings. So I will get with them and we'll see if we can have a report either in December or January.
So you will.
They are meeting still, yes, sir.
So my understanding is that you're saying to us that you will meet with the diversity committee.
Sir,
You're saying that you will meet with the diversity committee.
I will get with those that are on it,
Yes, sir.
that we have in the school district that are leading that. and-
Okay.
And have them to come give us a report like they did last year.
Yeah.
Again this year, either in December or January.
Okay. And so, therefore, the commitment that was made to us as a board regarding that diversity committee, that is going to then be an ongoing
Correct.
situation.
It's
Is that
still a
what we're saying
committee that's
here?
going
Is that
on,
what you're
yes, sir.
saying?
That's correct.
Okay. And then we will be informed with respect to those reports from the diversity committee to us as a board
Yes, sir.
on an ongoing basis.
Right, we did last year, we haven't this year yet.
But I'm saying
Right.
now
Yes, sir.
going forward.
We will,
At this
yes,
point in time, going forward. That's what we're saying.
Right, it is. I
And
mean,
it-
there's not gonna be a report at every board meeting. 'cause
Yes,
we
sir.
don't meet
I think you're meeting.
all the time, 4 times a year.
Yeah,
Like, we can
whatever,
certainly give you a report.
whatever the number
Yeah.
is. Okay,
Good.
so that being said, then there's value in Dr. Lewis then reporting, because, invariably, we want to see some hires. I mean, I know what I'm looking at right here. And that's why I asked, and she provides it for us. And certainly, I want to continue seeing it. So I think there's a value addedness to us continuing to receive, Mr. Superintendent,
Yeah.
for us to continue.
I'm
I know,
fine too.
you
Like,
didn't raise it. I'm just speaking for myself, with all due respect. There's a value, again, in my opinion, to having Dr. Lewis continue to provide this information, not just as a point of reference, but in our packet.
Okay.
Because I look forward to getting it. And certainly, I'm gonna say it again, I don't know how many lady hours, woman hours she puts into it. This is an inordinate amount of work and effort. I recognize effort. So I think it dovetails, in my opinion, what Mr. Ferguson was saying and Dr. Williams, and what you just mentioned. And then that would then necessarily be a positive outcome going forward from today in time. And
Okay.
does that make sense?
To break even with, put it in his folder. If you want to, put it in everybody else.
I have no problem with that.
The report, we have no say in what's hired, what's fired. So if you'd like to see who retired, and you
Yeah.
don't know who they are, then print it and put it in there.
Everybody's folder, we done with it.
That is
We don't have it.
Okay, we got it?
We don't hire, we don't fire, we don't make recommendations.
As long as we can do that, we'll be glad to do that. Okay, so, any other thoughts on that before we move on? I don't wanna,
A comment to the floor?
no, we can't have public comment right now, but thank you. Please share it after the meeting. We don't wanna hush you up, thank you. We're here. All right, Mr. Odom.
Mr. President, Board, and Superintendent, the consolidated sales tax report for our actual October receipts were up 0.25% when compared to last year around this time. Collections represent about 34% of what we collected last year. The overall net increase for the year is 7.21%. And we did collect around $179,000 from audit recoveries, which is about 80% of recoveries compared to the prior year. And do you want me to go on to the next
Yes,
one?
sir.
Okay, I didn't know how, and I'm the backup to the backup, so I'm still sitting in for Miss Duke, so.
You're doing great. You're
All right.
better than her, I promise. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
So on our financial update, the big packet that we send out on page 4, it shows the combined general funds. And so on page 4, if you look on line 22, it shows our total revenue. Our total revenue as of September 30th is around 15.9 million. That's about 24% of our budget, our budgeted revenue of 67.8 million. That's actually an increase. So if we were looking at, so from this time last year, that's an increase of about 690,000 compared to last year. And that's represented through MFP. We're about 264,000 in MFP. And our investment income is around 200,000 more than we were last year. If you look at line 36, total expenditures by function, the 10.3 million is about 16% of the budget of 64 million. We do have increased expenditures from compared to last year. We're about 500,000. If you go down to the bottom of the page, it shows by object, because, we can talk about instruction and all that. We can say, so if you look at line 45 and 46, under the actual for 2025, that represents 75% of expenditure spent this year. And that is usually the way school board business is. 75% goes to salaries and benefits. If you turn to page 13, is the combined special revenue funds. And so these mostly make up our grants, our federal reimbursements, our state reimbursements. And so what most of these, and now we do have some sales tax and ad valorem in here too, but the majority of these is you go out and spend the money, then you request it from the federal and state government, and they give you the money back. On line 22, it's roughly around 21% of the budget, and that's revenue. Revenues is about 21% we've collected of the budget. Line 36 is about 22% of expenditures. And so these are really tax funds and special revenue and state and grant reimbursements. On the health plan, I would just touch really the change in. So our total contribution and income is around $150,000 increase. The revenues and the contribution, that increase is due to the school board having to put more money into the health plan to make it through the year. But for our performance, the change in net assets, we're about 1 million. It's 1.3 million. Our expenses are 1.3 million more than we were at this time last year. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Odom. I appreciate that. Okay, Mr. Superintendent, do you have any report numbers for us
Okay.
today?
Just end of the 9 weeks, this last 9 weeks, report cards are going out. Some schools today, some tomorrow. And then we are working on the insurance changes that were approved with the different company, United Healthcare, and that information is going out to retirees and employees in the next week.
Okay, very good. Any other reports or comments or observations of the board members?
Yes, last board meeting I asked about the reading program. And when can we expect a report on the success of this reading program?
So we do middle of the year testing, Dibbles testing in the month of December, so we should have that when we come back, hopefully in January. If not, we'll have it in February for sure, but hopefully in January. That'll be the middle of the year Dibbles testing that we'll be doing.
And are we catering to the teachers to ensure that they have all the necessary materials they need to advance this program?
We are.
Because like I said before, if you can't read, you will not succeed. And this Jump Start program is a prime example of it. We don't get a harness on this reading, we're going to continue to fail these kids. All I ask is, let's put enough effort in it and enough money in it to ensure that every child can read. You know, I read a lot of articles in the paper, and some of this propaganda really makes me sick of the stuff. Let's put in and show statistics and results that everybody can identify with. That's all I ask. You know, I will forever be a stickler for this reading until my term is up. If I can remember my name when it's up. But that's all I have to say.
Anybody else?
Thank you to the faculty, to the principal, and staff here.
Here, here.
I'm impressed. Everything's beautiful.
All right. If not, I'll take a motion, we adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you. We are dismissed.